I too love the Pixies. Welcome back to So You're Interested In, the show where I break down an artist's discography in order to give you, the viewer, the best possible jumping off point in order to get into their catalog. On this installment, let's take a look at the post-hardcore outfit Gouge. Formed in 2012 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Gouge has been crafting raw, aggressive, and emotional music for quite some time. Not conforming to just one sound, this group has seen many evolutions since their humble beginnings. Ranging from power violence to shoegaze, there truly never is a dull moment within their discography. The band was clearly influenced by alternative bands of the 90s, namely Nirvana, the Jesus Lizard, and Fugazi. Oh, and of course the Pixies, which is pretty obvious considering the band is named after a song from their hit 1989 LP, Doolittle, which, fun fact, is actually my top 5 favorite albums of all time. Taking these influences and forging their own violent soundscape, Gouge is both familiar and brand new. Basically, if you like punk and hardcore adjacent music, then it's safe to say that you'll get into Gouge fairly easily. And despite being a band for a while now, they don't have a crazy amount of output, releasing just a handful of albums, EPs, and singles since their inception. So doing a deep dive into their catalog is not as much of a daunting task as one might think, but regardless, I'm still going to be recommending 2 albums and 3 individual tracks so you can finally start getting into Gouge. As always, let's start with the albums. The first Gouge record to check out should be their 2018 LP, Burnt Sugar. This is a very anxious and noisy LP, pulling from many different genres like hardcore, post-hardcore, noise rock, and even some alt-rock. It is a very singular sounding record too, as the band has imprinted themselves with a rather easily recognizable sonic identity. Take the opening track, Only Friend, for example. Instantly you're greeted with a delicious sounding bass, 10-tongue guitar riffs that are buried in the mix, and raw snappy percussion. In comes vocalist Christina Michelle, snarling about how paranoia is her only friend left as she feels increasingly isolated from the world around her. Only Friend is a noisy, aggressive opening track that is also rather accessible, setting the tone for the remainder of the LP. Another standout is the cut Hey Mercy. The instrumental on this one is more jangly than Only Friend, feeling like everything is being held on by a string ready to snap. The fast-paced performance is accelerated by Michelle's vocals, as it sounds like she's singing this one from the pit with the rest of us throwing bows and moshing around. Hey Mercy is a punk banger that simply can't be denied. Burnt Sugar's most popular song, which is still Gouge's most popular cut, is the tune Ghost. Again, the bass sounds absolutely magnificent, grumbling and prowling like an animal hunting its prey. This is a post-hardcore masterpiece, with its sludgy tones and dynamically chaotic vocals. The lyrics are so damn good too, with my favorites being, "It makes me wonder if I've passed away or been invisible this whole time." Ghost even features a sick guitar solo at the end of the song, as the band shows off their songwriting prowess, cementing Gouge as a dominant force in the scene. One last song I'd like to touch on is Stray, Burnt Sugar. Despite being doused in fuzz, there's certainly more pop sensibility throughout this cut. It feels very inspired by 90s emo, specifically a band like Jawbox. They lean into this sound and style, creating a very accessible song that can be enjoyed by nearly anyone, even with these scratchy, dissolving guitar shrieks that close the song out. Burnt Sugar isn't considered a modern classic just by chance, as there are a plethora of songs on here that will keep bringing you back time and time again. Do not miss out on this killer LP. Next up, you should absolutely be listening to the band's latest effort, 2024's Deep Sage. 6 years after Burnt Sugar, Gouge comes out swinging with their most controlled and restrained record to date. Sure, there are outward elements of their aggressive past scattered throughout this LP, but Deep Sage hits some of its peaks by shifting their sound towards grunge and even shoegaze. Showcasing this newfound sound and attitude, we have the album's second track, Maybe Blue. There is a great bump and sway to the verses, as the choppy riffs complement the stuttering, impactful percussion, giving this cut a familiar edge. It isn't as intense as previous songs, as this does lean a bit more indie than usual thanks to the stammering piano that hammers away in the back of the mix. Michelle's vocals are rather dynamic as well, hitting her hardest notes while she screams, "Doesn't this mean we have no choice but to change?" If you like this sonic direction, then you're gonna love the rest of this LP, such as the title track Deep Sage, which is such a pretty song despite the grime and noise that is sprinkled within the guts of the instrumental. There is so much beauty within the tension of this enamoring cut, as the looping guitars lull you to a safe place just to rip you out of your comfort zone with wicked switch-ups and Michelle's barked vocals. In my opinion, this is one of the most fleshed out Gouge songs, and it just goes to show the meticulous care that was taken when recording this album. Eventually, we get the track Spaced Out, which is a real return to form for the band. Going back to their hardcore roots, this ripper is as solid as a modern hardcore song can get, with a gorgeously anxious guitar riff and Michelle's hair-raising authoritative vocals. The call and response hook is uber infectious in its simplicity simplicity and enjoyability, I just know this shit goes hard as hell at a show. If you've been searching for that old school Gouge Away sound, then look no further than Spaced Out. Finally, this album closes out with the enthralling cut, Dallas. Coming in as the longest song on the LP, clocking in at over 6 minutes, this thing sounds freaking immaculate. I know I already mentioned the title track having great song construction, but Dallas sure as hell gives it a run for its money. Just a gut punch of a tune, with Michelle singing about the loss of a friend. This thing hits hard in so many different ways, cascading an album's worth of emotions on top of you like a smothering avalanche. This is a stunning album closer and deserves every bit of praise it has received. To me, Deep Stage is the most complete and compelling Gouge Away release yet, so do yourself a favor and give this outstanding LP a fair and honest listen. That's gonna do it for the albums, but don't you go anywhere, cause we still got some tracks to cover. The first Gouge Away track to seek out should be Calloused from their 2016 LP, Dies. Overall, this album is much more akin to power violence or screamo, as the tracks scorch you with unmitigated ferocity. The riffs are lightning quick, doing all they can to land as many punches as possible in the short minute 41 runtime. Michelle is also flexing her vocal muscles to the max, letting out some devastating screams. She wails in the closing lines as she blurts out, "I've got blisters on my back, the sun is gonna make me crack." Between that killer line and the absolute beatdown the instrumental puts on you, you'll be feeling like Gouge Away has cracked your skull in half. If you're like me and enjoy the louder and faster side of Gouge Away, then you shouldn't pass up on listening to Calloused. And if you get the time, I think you'll find yourself enjoying the entirety of Dies as well. Next, I think you should check out Chemical X from their 2013 EP, Focus Your Anger. This comes from the earliest Gouge Away release, so don't expect this to sound particularly amazing. Chemical X is worth your time because of its raw and unrelenting energy throughout, especially Michelle's screeched vocals. You're in and out of this one in less than a minute, which is good because if it were any longer, I fear it would overstay its welcome. Sure, it isn't as abrasive as the music on Dies, but this thing bangs nonetheless. Plus, it's cool to see where they planted their sonic roots so many years ago. Will you probably find other Gouge Away songs you like more? I mean, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, but Chemical X will give any first-time listener of Gouge Away a great idea of who they are at their core. Finally, I think you should go ahead and listen to the band's cover of Wave of Mutilation from their 2020 single, Consider. I mean, come on, did you really think I was gonna go through this whole video without mentioning this cover? Forget the cover being good, but how can I not talk about Gouge Away covering the Pixies when they're named after a damn Pixie song? And a really good one at that. By no means do I think their take on Wave of Mutilations is groundbreaking stuff, but they do a great job tackling this classic. They take the original song at face value while cranking up the intensity a tick or two. You can tell the band just had a blast doing this rendition. The most interesting part of this tune is how they take the vocals and really push them to the back, allowing the guitar, bass, and drums to take the spotlight. They could have easily butchered one of the Pixies' best tunes, but instead they do a solid job reanimating this cut for the modern age. If you like the catchier side of Gouge Away, then you can't go wrong with their cover of Wave of Mutilation. And that is going to do it for my video covering Gouge Away. Links to all the albums and tracks discussed here will be located in the video description box below. Scroll down even further to the comments section where you can let me know if you liked any of the albums or tracks that I picked here. Maybe you're already a massive Gouge Away fan and you think that I completely fucked up this list. That's fine, go to the comments and let me know. While you're down there, feel free to recommend any artist that you would like to see covered on So You're Interested In. Just know that I do have a bit of a backlog built up, so if I don't get to it right away, it's nothing personal, I'm probably working on it. If you have not done so already, please make sure to subscribe to Forever Spinning for more videos just like this every single week. And if you can't stop talking about music, then might I interest you in joining the official Forever Spinning Discord server. We're in there talking old music, new music, hot takes, fresh finds, and even cooler vinyl. So if you're into any of that kind of stuff, feel free to join. We'd love to have you. There is a link to that in the description as well. And that is just about going to do it outside of my usual reminder for you to go out and support your local record store if you were able to, along with the local artists in your area. And well, till I see you next time, happy listening.